In Nigeria, tech enthusiasts are busy tailoring solutions to fit the country's unique needs. From the bustling cities to remote villages, there are local innovation heroes adapting and developing tech solutions that can be localized. Now, open source projects also play a crucial role in fostering cooperation and knowledge sharing within the ecosystem. Developers can come together to tackle these challenges head-on, making tech innovation a real team effort. Now, Debo Onifade, the CEO of Dillon Apps, talks about the localization of tech solutions in the country and how we can ensure their sustainability. Nigeria faces, unique challenges in areas like healthcare, infrastructure, and even agriculture. How can we tailor tech to make a real impact on these sectors?
Thank you so much. I think first we have to think Nigeria. Every time we're thinking tech, think Nigeria first. And let me talk about healthcare. We talk a lot about data, analysis, artificial intelligence in Nigeria. And I always ask this question. We have not even talked about data acquisition. Why is China the number one or top two AI country in the world? Because of very low privacy laws, and they have data of almost everybody, and data helps them to improve on AI. Nigeria needs to, right now we don't even know our population. We need to do better acquiring data, know a lot more about our health challenges, so we need to do better in the area of acquiring the appropriate data, and then we can analyze. I think nowadays we are jumping the gun. We're trying to go to the university instead of starting from primary school. If you talk about education also, people talk about so many big equipment, software, and I say, if you look at the East Europeans and Southeast Asians that have excelled in education, it starts from primary school. People talk more about university education, and I think we need to talk about improving curriculum, even in the primary school, in the high school, JSS. We need to, not just software, but in traditional engineering, we need to use every tool we can use to improve the quality of curriculum at that stage. What do you need in primary school? You don't need a lot. You don't need an expensive PC, you just need basic PCs. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we should simplify what we're trying to do. I think we try to create sophisticated solutions that are sometimes not required. So I would say we should think Nigeria and less of international every time we're creating solutions.
We've seen a lot of local innovation heroes, coming out to create solutions they believe would address specific local needs of Nigerians. Now, in your experience, would you say these innovations have made significant difference?
I would say no, because when we talk about changes or differences in Nigeria, especially when it comes to tech innovations, it's usually limited to Lagos and maybe one or two other states. For us to say that the country is influenced positively, we have to think the whole country. And like I always said, when you talk about unemployment in Nigeria, it's more of low-skill unemployment. The highly skilled people will always sort themselves out, either in Lagos or travel abroad, Abuja. If we're not creating solutions that are, solving food problems, that are solving agricultural problems, solving healthcare problems, that are creating jobs, especially amongst the low-skilled staff, we'll be chasing shadows. So let's talk about fintech, for example. A lot has happened in the fintech space. People just come and copy solutions because Paystack is excelling. Doesn't mean do we need 100 fintech companies in Nigeria? I would say no. So I think what happens in Nigeria is that a few companies succeed in creating some innovations, and rather than other people innovating in other areas that matter to the economy, you have everybody coming to the same industry, copying, just modifying a little bit, and in the next few years, you just realize that 80% of them eventually fold up because the market size itself is not large enough to accommodate the number of companies coming to that field. So when you're dealing with a small market size, at the end of the day, 80% of them will not survive. And so I think that we have to diversify in terms of innovation. We have to innovate in multiple areas, in finance, in insurance, in telecom, in healthcare. The innovation, we have to diversify and make sure it affects the common man.
I think that we have a number of innovators with original solutions that are addressing the needs in these sectors, but the spotlight isn't just on them. How can we support them, to scale up?
So yeah, I've always believed that the state governments, not the federal this time, have to do a lot more to help, especially those innovators that are not popular, like you said, especially in the states. And so for me, there's no way you can succeed without having collaborations with government, especially subnational governments. In some ways, they don't need money. The innovators don't need money. They just need opportunities. I hear of different, people talk about different businesses that, the interlands, Ogun State, Abeokuta villages, and you hear about this business making 200% margin, 300% margin. All I need is if I could get government support, not money, this I can scale up. Sometimes I'm asking them, how can you scale up? You're doing this and you're making maybe 500,000, 200%, 1.5. If you can scale it up to a point where you're doing, even tech is not making 200% in Lagos. So if you're making 200% margin, what do you need to scale up where you're making 5 million times 3? That's 15 million. That's against 1.5 million. And by the time the person is describing the challenges, I just nod my head and wish the state government can be more supportive. So I think the first is the subnationals. State governments especially need to do a lot more than the federal government in their states. But also I think that innovators also should think more about what will immediately add value. If you think about disruptive innovation that will add value in the next 5 years or 3 years, that's not really needed right now. It's going to be difficult for anybody to take a chance on you. Disruptive technology is great, but most times you can create innovation by solving today's problem.
Definitely, the governments cannot do everything right. So, which is why we need investors, to support these innovators. And that brings me to my next question, which is about sustainability, right? How can we ensure that these localized innovations are sustainable in the long run?
So we have to think beyond money. And that's why I said people need to think about how can I make money tomorrow? If I solve today's problem, I have a higher chance of earning revenue immediately than if I think in a futuristic way. And I also think that people are more interested. I'm getting, from my experience in Lagos, there are more opportunities for innovators from private sector, not necessarily investment. People are still skeptical to drop cash, but a lot of collaboration. I hear of people combining forces, joint ventures. Some private sector, some clients will be willing to take risk, give you order, and give you like purchase order to confirm. When you deliver, they're able to pay you. So I think people need to be more creative about how to get funding. Funding doesn't even have to be cash. Many times it can be collaboration with people. Free cash from the US or from Europe is no longer there. We won't get as much as we got in the last 20 years. And so we have to be more creative about collaboration, partnerships that can give us opportunities rather than cash.
Now, talking about collaborations and partnerships, let's switch gears now to open source. How do you believe open source projects can foster collaboration and knowledge sharing within the Nigerian tech ecosystem?
Yeah, for viewers, open source relates to free software, on the internet. It's making the application available, and if you want to use it, you have to modify, customize to meet your needs. Unfortunately, the challenge with that in Nigeria is a developer thinks mostly about how I want to be a millionaire very soon. I want a foreign job. They're working with a bank in Nigeria, making money. They want to jump out for that $4 job within the next 3 months. And so we encourage them to be calm. You will improve your skill when you stay longer. And then to talk about open source, it takes time. If you are busy working 8 to 7 or getting home late, you must be very diligent to say, well, I'm going to contribute to this project. and I'm going to contribute significantly to this project. Now, if you're very comfortable, for the older ones, very comfortable, married, you're okay with what you're earning, you want to stay there for a while, and you're able to create a few days a week, fantastic. But for the ones that are still jumping around, as you know, many of them are, to be patient, to think about a solution that is not foreign. And again, like I said, they're also futuristic. They think about foreign solutions because, again, you'll be more visible to potential employers if you're adding value in an international project. But when it's a local project, you have to be selfless. You have to consider that you may not get any benefits because the big guys may not look at you there. You will be adding value much more than getting value. A lot of people go to open source for the purpose of benefiting, and it's not bad. I want to contribute because I want somebody to see my profile. I want somebody to give me a call. So that's good. Nothing bad about that. However, for what you're describing, which I highly subscribe to, I think is a wonderful idea. People will have to be selfless. You have to contribute without thinking so much about benefit because you might not benefit anything. You have to think about the country and think, okay, healthcare. Is there an open source we can create for the health, for the healthcare industry, for the agri industry that's going to add value to the country? Think about your employer, your country, not just about yourself all the time. Because when you think about the country and your employer, ultimately you will make a lot of progress.
It's been an engaging conversation with you, Debo Onifade, CEO of Dillon Apps. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us on
Thank you so much.